You put some pillows down here in case you
should
roll down and wreck.
Should be a workers' comp claim, so you'll have to handle it.
All right. Well, in that case, I'll sit over here.
Get your bubble wrap, Jason.
Move it closer. I am. I don't project. All right, we'll get
Chris,
started.
welcome.
So this is the June 27th DRC. We're starting at 10 o'clock a.m. So first item on the agenda is the Silver Oaks final application plan. So anyone from the Silver Oaks subdivision want to come up to the table there, and if you could, state your names for the records.
Eric Terry, Kaysville.
And then AJ Del Pivo with Atlas Engineering.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so we'll get going. This is a proposed 165 units townhomes located on the west end of Main Street here, just that's kind of adjacent and surrounds the Erkenbrack building here on the west side of town. This is the second time the DRC has reviewed it. Apologize, let me shut my phone off for a sec. And they gone through and cleaned up their plans and addressed red line comments that were provided to them previously, and this is their submittal of those. Again, this is a final application, so the DRC is a final approval body for this application, and that'll be, say, after this, if they're approved, they'd proceed with the construction side of the project. So with that, we will go around the DRC with any comments or questions that the community may have. So starting with Randy with building.
I went through, did the addressing on it. It was quite a challenge with that many. And try not to duplicate numbers, but I think we got there. So it's ready to go.
Okay, sounds good. And those will be provided with the red line comments once we send it. So
That's all I have.
okay. Chris Lindquist with fire.
Fire has nothing.
Okay.
No issues.
Thank you. Jason Calloway, Public Works.
Yeah, I don't know if we talked about this before, but shouldn't there be a drain, a PI drain, kind of down in that northwest corner? Did I miss that on the plans? Or
No, I don't think we talked about it, but yeah, there's a low spot there, so we can add a drain.
I think we better add a PI drain right there. So
They got the slopes labeled, John, on all their pipes and everything, so we know where those go to.
On the plan and profiles, they do.
yeah, I looked at the topo and it looked like that's kind of a low spot down there.
It is, yeah.
And then just making sure that sewer, we have access to get those manholes and stuff along Highway 6. We can get a truck in there.
Yep. So what they're showing an access gate here on that southwest side, and it'll run with a gravel road maintenance access all the way down through there.
Okay.
Is what they're proposing and showing.
I noticed they was running 8-inch PI. Is that? I mean, should it be, isn't it 6?
Yeah, it's showing an 8-inch PI as it runs through there. 6 is our
Standard.
required. You can install an 8-inch.
I mean, yeah, but
But-
I just noticed on the plans you had 8-inch as per Santaquin City standard.
Okay.
I think you
Yeah.
could probably drop that to a 6-inch, save you a little bit of money.
Okay, thanks, yeah, we'll fix that label.
That's all I had.
Okay. Thank you. Chief Hurst, Police.
I just had one question. Can you zoom out and go down towards 100 North? Oh, just a little bit. So, is 100 North ever going to go through? I know I asked that
No.
question before.
No, it's not planned that way.
Can you scroll back up? I'm wondering if we can take that stop sign out and put it up here. I didn't see one right here at this intersection. Shouldn't there be one right there?
There is one right there.
There's one shown. May not be
I didn't see a number on it though.
called out. as
I don't
that.
have this big
Oh.
screen on my desk.
Yeah.
I can really zoom in.
You can add a label. You can see it clear on the plan and profile sheet.
Maybe it's just not labeled.
Yeah,
is that
it's
it?
not on the
Okay.
overall sheet there.
I was just wondering if we could relocate that one and put it there.
So move this
We
stop sign here.
want to leave that one there probably because there is going to be commercial to the west of that. So where that letter 5 is, that's actually an entrance to future commercial sites. So we probably still want to leave that
that stop sign there just for,
add it up above.
just add the one up above it. It needs
Okay,
to be there.
Just add the one up
Yeah.
above.
Leave the one on 100 North and then add the other one up above.
Okay, that's the only thing I have.
Oh, I see what it is. It's under the.
Okay. Jason Bond.
Just we have those couple red lines. I just wanted to ask again and see if you had any time to look at or consider parking next to the pickleball court park area that you have. All the street frontage around there is going to be red curbs, so there's no parking. I mean, people can still walk to it, but I still think it'd be a good thing that you're going to have a parking lot right there for the future commercial. If it's something that you could add, 5 or 6 stalls or whatever, kind of there by that number 4 call out. I think that would probably be really helpful. Again, we don't necessarily have a requirement for it, but I just think it'd be something good to consider to give people a place to park if they want to access that pickleball court.
So again, that's going to be parking for the future commercial on phase 2, I think, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, we looked at it. We just couldn't. We just kind of being so close to final ran out of time in terms of adding that, but we can try to prioritize that with the commercial.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, and I guess that's the thing is I know you probably can't tell us, but
Yeah.
I don't know what the timeline is to actually build that commercial. That's just why I bring that up.
Yeah.
Is if you had at least 5 or 6, then and commercial doesn't happen for a couple years, then
Yeah, no, we plan on. I mean, it won't be a couple of years.
Okay.
So we'll definitely prioritize putting something there.
if it's going to happen sooner than later, then it's fine that it's not
Yeah.
there. But that's always my worry is I know sometimes with these phase developments that maybe the commercial doesn't happen for a long time, and we've got this kind of weird floating pickleball court amenity that everybody wants to drive to and park at, but then we're going to have police that's trying to deal with red curb parking and that sort of a thing. So, and then, I talked with Derek on the phone yesterday about the parking agreement that he's going to modify, and he's going to account for some of the landscaping and maintenance around the parking that is kind of dissected by a phase line. And so I think that'll be good to make sure that what they do construct will be adequately maintained for until that second phase is done. So that's all I have.
Okay. Norm, do you have anything?
Yeah, so with the UDOT easement for the sewer, is that written and given by UDOT already? Is that approved? Do we have written approval from UDOT on that?
So it's in the public. We have approval from them, but how it's in the public right away, then we just have there's no official easement or anything. It's just their.
Do we have documentation that they've approved that from UDOT?
We have an email from them, yeah.
You'll need
for
to
the
provide
sewer.
that so that we have their documentation of approval on that one.
Because we've got this for the access, the Cardinal Street here coming off of Main Street, but I don't recall seeing that permission for that sewer
Yeah,
line.
it's kind of more of a thing.
Yep.
So John, also on the irrigation company stuff, I don't think they're showing the accurate plans according to the last time we talked to the irrigation company. Did we not talk to them about a 24-inch line and eliminating the boxes so that they can maintain the head on their pipe and it doesn't go to open atmospheric boxes?
We have, but it was since this set came in.
So
So it has been changed since.
But that's not what we're looking at today. So that's the concern that I have is that if we're here for final approval, we don't have the plans that you're proposing to and according to what's been approved by the irrigation company. So
I can send you this sheet.
What-
Like I
what-
said, it
what
was
did we
just-
change?
All we changed. So they wanted sweeps on the 24-inch irrigation.
and it is 24, not 21, right?
It is, yeah, so
Okay.
we've changed that on there. So they had where it connects at the beginning and where it transitions at the end. They wanted those to be sweeps instead of 90-degree bends or whatever the bend is into the existing pipe. So we changed that and we changed it to 24-inch irrigation pipe.
So
And that
two
was-
245s or something like that. Is that what they're proposing?
So we just had to show a sweep in there.
And then when it comes down to that Cardinal Street and goes to the northeast, does that have a bend in it right there too, right by that number 6? It doesn't. That was never planned to be a box there.
Yes, it's just a sweep in the pipe, no boxes.
Okay.
Yep. And again, we don't have any, just say that's right here for that written approval from
Right.
in Summit Creek that we're setting
we went
ready to
back
go.
and forth, and we made the changes that they want with those. He just described the 2 sweeps, and they said that's good, and they're working on getting their formal approval on that.
But you don't have anything from the irrigation company giving a formal approval on that design?
No, just the verbal on the phone. You know, make these changes, and we'll be good. We made the changes, and we're waiting for them to say it's good.
Okay.
Anything else, Norm?
That's all I have right now.
Okay, and those are pretty much the major comments we'd had. Again, we've already talked about the shared parking, and the Jason talked with you about yesterday, and that's what that comment is regarding. Then I believe that was it. Then, yeah, just a question to say extending the red. Well, that won't be red curb because that's the access to the back there. But it may be that you just extend that red curb back to that drive approach. Someone's going to try to park there. So,
John, can you zoom in on that one? I didn't have a chance to see this sheet, so we can see, all of us can see what that's planned for, and making sure that with police and fire, that what we've talked about throughout the development on the red curbing.
Mhm.
Can you zoom out on that?
so it makes it kind of harder. I don't know if you'll be able to see the red lines.
Yeah, zoom into different areas.
But yeah, we'll have to zoom in and show. So we've got a red curb at this 100 north, again extending to the drive approach, and then red curb on the south, on the west side,
So
and the north
basically,
side
it's
of
red
this
curb
block.
everywhere there's a driveway,
Yes,
but the fronts of the units don't have red curb on them.
that's correct. Then along the west side of 500 West, rolling up to the intersection, again all the way around this block.
We'll want
and-
to put on the corner there by Unit 56 that radius around there.
Unit 56 right here.
Yep, there's no red curb there. We'll want to maybe make a red line on that, John.
And then 500 West, the east side of 500 West as it connects to 200 North. And then essentially, we've tried
Again-
to provide as much as we can. Again, this is coming out of an intersection. So, again, on the north, west, and south sides of this block, same on this block here with units 130 to 145. Same on 109 to 129. And then, again, similar on lots 93 through 108. And see, lots 78 through 92. It's all in there. And then the north side of Empress Street, the south side of Frost Street, and the short distance there on the other side of Polly Lane are not red curb.
So Chief Hurst, is that, I think that pretty well, from my recollection, covers what we've talked about, to making sure and for Public Works that we can snow plow and that we can have clear sight distances and all that kind of stuff. Are you guys good with that?
Yeah, other than the one Jason mentioned.
Okay, so there's two really that you guys still need to address just on the curb returns, okay? One more question on 500 West right there, John, or maybe AJ, you can tell us this. Is that a half plus 10 to the property line? Is that basically where we're at with that road? You're providing a half plus 10, and then we'll have to work with whoever that adjacent property owner is to make a wider road there
Yeah,
at some point in the future?
it is. So yeah, that's what's called out in the detail sheet too.
And that's what's provided. I mean, that meets our code. There's no concern with that, but just so fire is aware of it, that does, at half plus 10, it still provides for adequate access for secondary access. So, okay.
One item I do want to point out to the DRC is that they have provided wider asphalt throughout the development. Pull the cross-section sheet up.
Wider than what's required
Wider
under the
than what's
development
required.
agreement and the standards that were in place at the time of the development agreement,
That is
right?
correct.
And that was done at our request,
That is correct.
so that we can continue to have snowplow and access and all that kind of stuff. In fact, that I think was more needed for the 20-foot clear access that we need for fire to get through there for fire apparatus, so.
That's
okay.
correct.
All right,
So yeah, so 34 feet of asphalt is what they provided for there. Still within the 55-foot cross section, but they have provided again that 34 feet of asphalt. And then you,
And at our recommendation, we just
Okay.
took out in those areas, we took out the park strip, right?
yep, we narrowed the park strip through there. So
John, can you jump back to that red curving
Yeah.
real quick?
if I try not to get you car sick as we go through here. There we go. Any spot in particular? It's kind of hard to see when it's zoomed out there. But
Will you zoom into that Babcock? Okay.
So while you're there, John, maybe pull it to the right a little bit. Other way.
The other right.
the other right, other left. Here, how about we get everyone
So
car sick?
I guess the question I have is to be consistent elsewhere. You know, that Frost Street, right where that label is, there's the front of the units right there, and we have that short stretch that's red curbed, but the opposite side of the street's not. Part of me wonders if we allow for a little bit of parking there, and then across the street, across Halford Avenue to units 87 and 83, 84, 85, 86, if we allow for parking along that stretch as well, because otherwise people are going to park across the street, have to walk across the street to get to, you know, if they're visiting one of those units or whatever. I don't know why we have that part red curbed. If anything, up on Polly Lane, there's that short stretch there with the two bends in the road. Part of me wonders if we red curb that.
Well, the discussion was previously is to making sure that, because we're anticipating parking being on one side of this and taking up space.
Uh-huh.
And for utility truck access, for fire access and everything, if you get parking on both sides of the street, you really narrow that up to the point where you can't get to
So
it.
I guess what my suggestion is red curb the whole
Everything
south
in front
side
of
of
the
Frost
commercial?
Street and allow, because
Well, we left it that way because there's going to be commercial and because it's right there by the shared parking. So that's why we left it on that one side, to still allow parking on one side, but just not in front of the units where it's going to be so cumbersome with sight distances and all that kind of stuff.
but my point is there's going to be a lot of parking over there that's
Yep.
not on the street, and it's shared, so it's going to, you know, but people are going to naturally park there, and we may as well have them park on the same side of the street that they're going to want to access the buildings instead of having, you know, I mean, they're not going to be able to park there in the wintertime anyways because our code
Right.
refrains from people doing that so we can snowplow. But that was just as you were going through, one thing that didn't make sense to me is we're getting everybody to park on the opposite side of the street of units they're going to access.
Yep.
And I don't see them
Again,
parking.
this is coming from the plan that we had before, so we'd have to go back into a discussion if we're gonna do that, because then you're gonna have 34 feet of asphalt, and you don't need 34 feet of asphalt necessarily. If you had 8 foot or 9 foot parking, then you have 25 or 26 feet of
I
asphalt
know,
left over.
and I get that the parking on both sides of the street makes it unnecessarily narrow, but if we're going to pick one side or the other, I would pick the side that people are going to be accessing more. No one's going to park on the south side of Frost Street to access those businesses because
Sure they are, because they're gonna be using that shared parking there too.
No, but they're going to use the shared parking.
Remember,
not
human
park on the
habits.
street, and that's why I'm bringing this up. Is the human habits are is that they're gonna want to park closer to the units. The parking stalls are going to line that entire Frost Street. They're going to park in those stalls. They're not going to park on
So
the street.
let's take this offline and visit with Public Works and Public Safety on that. We've already had this discussion a number of times. If we're gonna change it that much, I think we need to get back with Chief Hurst and Chief Lind and Jason and find out what we're doing there.
Yep.
We'll give you some feedback on that if we need to go red curb on that. We'll get together offline.
Yeah, that's neat. I mean, the good news is it's easy to stripe one side or the other, right?
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And we can make that change right up until.
Right.
And even change it later.
It's an easy change. It's just before we paint the curb red, let's figure out the best place to curb it, red curb it.
Okay. Is there anything else? Not that we have pulled up here. So that's the UDOT construction plans there and striping plans. So, any other thoughts, comments, questions? Okay, as mentioned before, the DRC is the approval body for this final application, and so I would look for a motion.
So I would make a motion that we apply a conditional approval that we get the red lines addressed that are pretty minimal, but also that we get the written approval from UDOT and the irrigation company with those sets of plans as part of that written approval.
That's the UDOT approval for the sewer coming through, because again, the connection point, we've got the UDOT approval, it's the sewer line. Any other,
I'll second that.
okay? I got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on those? Seeing none, we'll go to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, motion passes. So we'll work on getting these red line comments over to you, and
And we just send them to you, or who?
you send them to, again, to,
The same.
yep, same one there.
Okay.
And then we'll start working on
All right.
getting the construction phase up and running.
Okay, we'll get all that done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Hollow Flats, and so we need to make sure we invite Sean added in. You guys with Ivory, or? Yeah. If you wouldn't mind saying your names for the records, please.
Skylar Tolbert with Ivory Development.
Okay.
John Bowen with Ivory Development.
Hey,
And
and
like you said, Sean Herring, our
Yep.
engineer, is online.
can you hear us, Sean?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. So.
Perfect.
Okay, so this is a preliminary subdivision located on the west side of the railroad tracks and on the east side of Summit Ridge Parkway. So there's the existing homes to the north, and existing homes to the south up in Summit Ridge. So it's that big, approximately 50 acres of land there that was recently annexed into the city, and a development agreement and annexation agreements in place for this. And so if you recall from the last time that the DRC reviewed this application, it was tabled to address red lines, especially on getting the appropriate easements to get the sewer line to extend to the north along the Union Pacific Railroad there. They have provided the deeds and the quit claims associated with that, and updated design for there. So for the DRC to review at this point in time too. So again, this is a preliminary application. So the DRC's role would be to provide a recommendation to the Planning Commission for their review. So with that, we'll go around the DRC, see if there's any thoughts or questions. So starting with Randy.
I've gone through and done the addressing on this parcel as well, so it should be in the file there.
Okay. Provide those red line comments with this. So Chris with Fire.
Fire has nothing.
Okay. Jason Cow with Public Works.
Yeah, down on the north end, there's a culinary valve that's like mid-block. I wonder if we could just move that up to the north west corner. Just kind of make it like all the other valving we have. Did you see that? They show a PI valve up there in that little bulb out. But then
Talking
the down,
here, or
yeah, right down there, there's a culinary valve. Look,
get the valve tree here.
yeah, you got a PI there.
Yeah, you got this PI valve there. Is that the one? you're
No,
mentioning?
and see the culinary right there. Move it maybe back up to the corner, just so it's not right there mid-block. I'm not sure why it's there.
So the reason it's there is because the maximum distance, they're exceeding the maximum distance between culinary valves for the system. So that's kind of a mid-block valve.
All right.
We can adjust it.
It
Either direction.
just probably, guys we'll go to the corner, shut the valves off, and we won't see it.
So with that, that's a state requirement, right?
Correct.
There's a
Yeah.
maximum of like 700 or 800 feet or some 1,000 feet, something like that we can hit without a valve, right?
That is correct.
And that's why we have that there.
Yes.
Is there one way or the other it could be moved and make
It could be.
not hit the full maximum?
It could be adjusted. I don't know, Sean may be able to answer that question on the distance, that total distance around there. But yeah, it could be just
That's why it's there.
But that's why it's in that location.
Okay, that's fine.
It would require one at each of those bulbs, I think, just because of that length.
Gotcha. So yeah, if you say you wouldn't have.
Yeah.
If I'm understanding correctly, Sean, if you moved it to either one of the bulbs, you'd have to put one on the other side.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's okay then. That's fine. We'll just end up probably shutting the water off on the intersections anyway. So
That's where usually the valves
yeah,
are at.
that's
yeah.
where the valves are. So that'll be okay. We'll find it after a minute, get some more people back on.
That's just an operational thing, but it is typically that's where they're at. But that's why it's there, is because of the distance required by the state.
yes.
Okay.
Maximum
that works.
distance.
And then some of the PI valves, I don't know if it was this sheet, but it looks like the labeling was covering them up. I think they're all there. I just think the labeling was covering up some of the PI valves. So
And they're kind of
yeah,
tucked in there with the symbol there. So
yeah. But other than that, and then make sure when you do connect to this that you connect to the right zone. We do have a couple different pressure zones in this area, so.
Yeah, that's out in Summit Ridge Parkway. If I remember right, they had to go to the north to pick up either the PI or the culinary to get below the PRV.
that's correct.
Yeah.
And they are showing that.
That one, yeah, that very south one will be. You'll have to make sure you get on the right zone there.
So, Sean, if you'll just make sure that you add a construction note there that says coordinate with the city for proper connectivity. That way, we can make sure that in the field we can get connected to the right one.
Yep.
It'd be bad to cross pressure zones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want to deal with that. So
Other than that, that's all I have. So.
okay, sounds good. Chief first.
I don't have anything.
Okay. Jason Bond.
We'll just talk with the red lines that you have. No, a lot of it's engineering.
Okay. So, Nora, do you have anything else?
I don't, other than just whatever your engineering comments are.
Yep,
And I
we'll
know
jump.
we discussed some yesterday. Let's go through those.
Yep, we'll jump right into the essentially. Say for the most part on the plan set for the preliminary, there wasn't any major comments. What we do roll into is the grading kind of comments, and essentially the big question is is how is this overall grading going to be done to basically so we're minimizing the any issues that may arise from fill areas, how the operation is going to be done, whether it be access, haul routes, etc. throughout, appropriate testing to be done on there is kind of some of the main questions associated with the overall kind of mass grading that's going to be needed for the site. So again, previously we discussed this Auburn Drive as kind of being the overall construction access, verifying that that's still the case, and what is going to be done to help protect that shoulder and curb there until as much time as that road is finished up. I believe it's Auburn Drive. Yeah.
So we did,
Go ahead, John.
we did propose Auburn Drive to be a thicker asphalt section and a thicker structural base. I think that's on the detail. And then we put together a conditional use site plan showing haul route and access point, along with the IGES kind of testing summary, how they're going to go about doing that.
Do we have that, John? It sounds like we don't have that.
You do. We submitted it on this. It was in that email from the 16th.
So the information that I had, the IGES, are you talking about the geotech report that was done with that?
No.
But they wrote a summary, a supplemental letter just saying this is how we plan on
There's a
addressing the site, clearing, grubbing, subgrade prep, testing standards, testing frequencies, testing procedures, this is how we plan on approaching this project from a compaction testing standpoint.
Which document was that titled? So this was, because the overall storm drain report.
on the title. Let me
That
see.
was, then we got the Hanson Island Loose study, phase 1 of the hollow plats, the plan set for the phase 1. Same thing with, there's the geotech associated with it that was done. The 2 quick claim deeds and title reports associated with it. We have the transportation plan.
It's called the conditional use site plan full, and so I included it in there. I mean, when I said it was as requested, we pretty much have all the info for the mass grading permit, but I didn't know if you wanted us to do a CUP application, which I didn't think you did, so I just included all that data in with everything else, with the preliminary, with the easements, with cut fill, with the final landscape plans. And it's similar to what we did on Summit Ridge with all the documents, the dust nuisance, access, noise, lighting, odors, kind of, it's pretty much a conditional use permit full set without applying for the conditional use permit.
And I can send you this if for any reason it's not there, but it's basically a 3-page letter from IGS. It's a supplement. It's got an introduction, test standards, test frequencies, testing procedures with tables.
Okay. Yeah, at this
and a
point,
closure signed by Justin.
Yep. So I haven't seen that document there. So
John, I sent a link. I don't know if you have a second. You want to just click that link I threw in the chat just to. And you can scroll.
So we're not going to review it while we're here. If we just need to make sure that we've got the information, and we can proceed accordingly. John, let's just do the red lines that we've got,
Yes.
and it appears that there's still some things we either didn't download from the link or weren't on the link or something of that nature. But we'll address the red lines that we've got and move through that way so that we can get going on it.
Yep. So again, those are kind of the main things, and really, because I know any mass grading or anything that's done in anywhere in Santaquin does need to making sure we're addressing all those items that we've discussed.
So to be clear, Sean, you made a statement earlier. It's not what we want or what we like. That has nothing to do with it. It's what's required by code. We don't have a preference one way or another, but in this particular case, you do not. The code does not require a separate CUP, and that's why we've not gone that direction. It isn't what we like or what we want or anything like that. It's the code does not require it because this is considered part of your development of the ground. So there is no need for as far as we can see, the code doesn't require on this one a CUP, a separate CUP.
Correct. And that's conditional use permit. So, but, yeah, just so that, again, to ensure that roadways, stay where they're supposed to be and there's no major settling in those, and also that homes that are built on places where there's significant fill added, 20 to 18 feet.
If there's
in some
any fill
spots.
where the footings need to be on native soil, or we need that information.
Correct.
Of compaction.
For the building side of things as well.
And that information, just for your reference, has to come timely. We've been not getting that from Geotex timely. It's got to come in as the stuff is happening and as we're filling and that kind of stuff on a daily basis. It's very, very difficult for us to go back and say, okay, well, this report was matched to this particular daily report of ours or pictures or whatever. We need that information timely, and we've not been getting that. So just if this is a Geotex that's going to work for you. We're still going to have QA. You're going to do your QC, but what happens there needs to be coordinated and it needs to be timely.
Sure. This is our first project in Santaquin, so I don't know if you've worked with IGS before or not, but they'll get it to you timely every time they're there. They'll send a report to myself and whoever at the city the contact is. So you'll get everything.
That's
on
what
time,
we need.
Yep.
And you'll get all the reports.
IGES hasn't done any QA/QC testing in Santaquin. There's been other groups that have, but that's just what we'll look for. So again, that's kind of for the preliminary plan on this. Those are really the main red line comments that engineering had. So Oh, just this comment just to kind of help clean that up, Sean. You got a lot of
Yeah.
PIs
Yeah.
and PCs and everything in there, so that's mostly just to help with legibility.
Yeah, gotcha.
And that's it. So
So John, from the engineering perspective, help us understand what you need or how you feel like this should move forward. If there's more information you need, or if you need to review it, or if it can happen with a recommendation moving forward, help us understand that.
So, as we mentioned, there's a couple comments that Public Works had that could be easily cleaned up. To review the information that we kind of talked about in regards to the testing procedures, I'm sure you guys I'm sure Rob would love to review that information. But
I'm sure I'll understand it.
Exactly. But say for most of that would just fall on me. So I would feel comfortable with recommendation to get moving forward to Planning Commission. I'd like to review it and everything prior to Planning Commission and all the comments being addressed before then.
Okay.
Before it would be scheduled to be on there.
John, I would make a motion that we recommend this moving forward to Planning Commission with those few items that are still needed from the grading side of things to get submitted and be reviewed before it's on an agenda for Planning Commission.
Yeah, I was going to make the same motion. The only thing that I would maybe say differently is that John Lindell, our city engineer, kind of gives a head nod, that it's ready to go to Planning Commission, because I don't want to get in a Planning Commission meeting and have a lot of questions and us not be able to know how to answer it. So we need John to look at those things first. But yeah, let's get this moving forward and make sure that we know what we're talking about before it's on a Planning Commission meeting.
I'll take that as a second. So
I'll second that.
Do you want anything else? No. Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. Seeing none, we'll go to vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. It was forwarded with a positive recommendation to Planning Commission. So, yeah, let's get that information over to we can review and take a look at it. Sean, we'll get these red line comments sent over to you the next day or so, and we can roll forward. So,
Just as kind
I
of
appreciate it. Thanks.
a time frame for you, Sean and Skylar, our next Planning Commission meeting is on the 11th or 13th? 11th. So, yeah, hopefully John can take a look at it and make sure that we've got everything that we need so that could be on the agenda. But that's no guarantee that it'll be on the 11th. It's making sure we've got the information we need to move it forward.
Yeah, just because of the holiday, I would recommend that you get stuff to us this week and make sure that we've got everything that we need.
I sent him that report already. I think it's in one of the Dropbox links, but I've already hit send on that.
Okay.
So, and I'd be happy to set up a meeting later this week to review it. So
yep.
We can have an in-person discussion to make sure it's good.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Okay. So do you have anyone else on Zoom? And I think we'll close the Zoom meeting out. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a traffic control request located at 730 North and 770 North and 200 East. So let me pull up. I had a map pulled up of this. So it's a proposed traffic control request located up here. Again, this is 770 North and 730 North. Apple Valley Elementary is on 770 North and essentially between the blocks of 200 East and Center Street. The proposal or the request is in regards to an existing stop sign that's located on the south side of the intersection of 770 North. Additionally, and to relocate that over to the east side of 200 East. And then in addition to that, put striping or crosswalks on 770 and 730 north, to help pedestrian school kids to make it up to 770 or up here to the elementary school. Some history on this area: we did do a traffic control request similar to this last August.
We've done a couple in the past few years.
Yeah, most recent was, I think it was last August, before the school year started. That one included more of a, traffic control here at 610, and getting a, safe route for kids to make it from, the south of 400 north and east of 200 east, to give them safe, safe path to school up there. And when we did that, we painted crossing bars on 400 north to get to the west side of 200 east. And then you can see them on this aerial image. At 610 north, we did crossings. And then the intention was to have kids funnel over to move west at that point in time to get to 100 east. Because again, 100 east is the main connection and crossing to the front of Apple Valley Elementary. So at that point in time, that was kind of the discussion that we'd had, and it went through this last school year kind of set up as such. But again, this request is to add a crossing here at 770 and 730, and then relocate those stop signs.
So to be clear, the reason that this is on here is because we've not specifically addressed 770 as a stop, 730 as a stop sign request. All of the other stuff has already been addressed, so we're not gonna, the way that the crosswalks are now or will be painted for school is according to the desires of the school district and their recommendation of trying to funnel everybody to the front of the school on 100 East. And so we're not considering those today. We're just considering the aspect of the proposed change, or the asked for change at 730 and 200 East.
Correct. I apologize. I did have the request pulled up, but I had to close my window here, so I'll bring that here real quick just to show you the. And while that's loading, just so everyone's aware, currently the existing traffic control that's here at 730 and 200 East is there's a stop sign. Actually, be able to pull the street view up and show you. There's a stop sign located for southbound traffic on 200 East, and then there's a stop sign for eastbound traffic on 730 North. But there's no stop sign or anything for northbound. So pull up to here as that's finishing loading. So that this is the exhibit that the applicant provided.
So in essence, what they're asking for here is seeing if they can move the stop sign from southbound to northbound on the other side of the road.
Correct.
So that's essentially what we're here to consider
another
today.
crosswalk.
And another crosswalk, but again, we've already addressed the crosswalk issues all along this corridor with what the desires are of the school district.
Yep. So go around the DRC with any comments or questions or thoughts. Randy, Chris, Jason, Rod?
Just seems to be something that keeps coming back time and time again, so.
Is the biggest concern is we're trying to control speeding, and is that
That is a point that was discussed, in the text that was provided by by Jesse Stickney on that, is that they do feel that adding a stop sign could slow down traffic, where, as we've mentioned in previous discussion, previous applications, stop signs are not a speed controlling. They don't slow speeders.
Are they not wanting to have kids go over to the designated route that the school board is recommending?
Unknown.
Yeah, don't know that. So, Chief Hurst, Jason?
I'm not sure why that existing stop sign is there. I think it was one that was put in probably before any of us were in these positions, and it just
Yep.
didn't get removed. It really makes no sense to have one there. And I don't know what, other than speed control, I don't know what purpose that it would serve to move it kitty corner from where it is now.
Yep. And kind of the school of thought, I guess, has been, and how stop signs are typically laid out through Santaquin, is that the north-south roadways are intended to help traffic flow freely so they can make it to Main Street as easily as possible. And then the east-west roadways aside, there's a couple exceptions to that, such as 200 North and Main Street, that traffic typically stops east-west direction on there. And so if that sign here at 730 would remove, that would follow with the same thought process that we've got through other parts of town.
But you're placing a kitty corner, so it's really
Well,
still contrary.
We're not. That's the proposal.
It would be,
Right.
this one wouldn't be placed here. It wouldn't be relocated.
Oh, okay.
We would just, potentially, the option could be that we could just remove that
Remove it?
stop sign.
Okay.
Yep, and not place it anywhere else.
Yeah, I think that stop sign was there before 770 was built.
Yes, it was.
So that was just the north end of 200 East. There wasn't any development past that, and I don't,
I'm sure it's just a piecemeal development that's happened
Yeah.
all the way along here to just, like
I
you say, long before we were involved in this.
I agree with Rodney. It probably should just be removed.
Because there's based on the MUTCD and there's the traffic amount here that it just doesn't necessarily warrant a stop sign for there. So there's a considerable amount more traffic that would be needed to meet those criterias laid out in that manual associated with there. So, and again, the MUTCD is the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. It's a national standard that we look towards for guidance on placement of stop signs and such.
John, 730 North will never go to the east. Well, never is a long time. But
It's highly unlikely.
770 will probably be the one that shoots to the, okay.
That is correct.
So maybe at some point we'll have to revisit 770 North,
Yes.
perhaps, if something goes into the east.
Yes.
But
Well, again, remember to the north, you have Royal Land Drive. That's the planned connection to the future schools and stuff that is
that's
even north of the school. So remember that road is really the planned road to go.
yeah, you're right.
But in reality, 730 or 770 could also go through, but is not intended to be the more collector type road. They would just be local roads, depending on if or how somebody decides to develop that
I
land.
was just thinking of potential stop signs or crosswalks for the school if it develops to the
Yeah.
east.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
More likely than 730 is probably not.
Yeah.
Right, there's a home right there that basically is just to the east of that, but that would make it pretty tight for them to even probably make setbacks if there was a road to go through there or something like that. So you're right, your statement is correct that 730 is likely not to go through at some point in the future, but the least likely, but I guess it potentially could if they take the home out.
So at some point, we might have to revisit 770 and Royal Land.
Correct.
Drive.
We always can as development happens and growth happens.
Any other thoughts, Jason or Norm?
I agree with what's been said. It's silly to have a one stop sign stop northbound traffic or southbound traffic and then not have it stop the other direction. So I agree. I think 200 East is intended to be free flow, except for the major east-west connections being 200 North, 400 North, and maybe a future Royal Land Drive when development happens. I think it's important that the school and parents educate the kids on the safe walking route to school, and that is to cross at 400 North and then kind of funnel up through there with the
Into
crosswalks
610
that are already
and-
there. Really the intention there, and I know Chief Hurst met with the school district recently a couple weeks ago, and maybe if you can turn your map around and then go not three-dimensional but two-dimensional and then go up towards the entrance of the school and then zoom in closer to the school. There you go. I think the intention is to funnel up to that front door, because if they cross and they want to get up to 770 North, I should say the corner of 200 East and 77 North, they're going to have to cross 4 driveways, which are going to have parents dropping kids off and buses and things like that. So I think it's important to understand kind of the layout there. And yes, naturally some kids are not going to remember, or they're not going to follow that, but that's, I think, the safest way to deal with the situation. Now, if there's speeding concerns, I've thought about this. Stop signs don't, I know MUTCD says that stop signs don't control speeding. It might have them temporarily stop, but then they just speed right back up to, and in some ways people overcompensate and speed faster just so they can get through stop signs on a given route quicker. So if there's speeding concerns there's a different way to do that, and I know that a call can be made to our police department, and it's a corridor they can take note of and watch a little bit closer. So yeah, I agree with what's been said.
Norm, do you have anything else? Okay. So this is, again, this application is, DRC is the approval body for it, or the action body, I should say. So if there's any, without any comments, any additional comments, I'd look for a motion.
I'd make a motion to remove the stop sign stopping southbound traffic on 730 North and 200 East.
And no additional striping no additional crosswalks on 730 or
No.
out through there. Okay.
Nope.
Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Randy. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll go to vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So we'll work on, Jason will coordinate with you to get that sign relocated. One other point I will make.
Sign removed, not relocated.
Thank you. Yeah, to get the sign removed. One thing I will note is that these crossings will be repainted and restriped before the
Yep.
school season starts up.
Again, according to how you met with the school district, Chief Hurst, and putting those in the places that they recommended, and
Yeah, nothing's changed from the previous year.
Right.
So just repainting it.
refreshing and painting according to that plan.
Correct.
Okay.
So there will be a crosswalk here on 400 North, northbound crosswalk on 610, and then an east-west on 150 East to get to 100 East, and then a straight shot down through the Apple Valley Elementary. So
And Center Street.
yes, and Center Street and 770. There will be the 2 crossings there. So, okay. With that, there's one other thing, sorry, the meeting minutes from June 13th meeting for a vote for approval on those.
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Randy. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion passes. So those minutes are approved. And if there's not anything else for the DRC, I'll look to a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, we are adjourned at 10:54 a.m. Thanks, everybody.